Mid-Year Book Freakout Tag. That's going to be one of my top books of 2025. As you can see, I cannot stick to a one book answer here. If I'm being very honest, my biggest disappointment was... Hello my lovely people, welcome back. My name is Vidi for those of you who are new here. Oh my god, y'all. I've recorded this video so many times. My audio in the previous video I recorded was so bad, I just had to redo it. I feel a little bit of a mess right now. Long story short, we're nearing the end of July. This video is probably going to be up at the end of July and I'm so late, but I've seen so many of these mid-year book freakout tags, whatever it's called, and I wanted to do my own take to it. I feel like this would be a really good way for you to get to know me as a reader. I just like talking about books, so let's talk about books. I have my notes right here. I did write down the question. I don't think this video is going to be too long. Grab a drink, get cozy, and let's get started. Now the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2025. Now right off the bat, I'm going to say Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and that's probably because it's the most recent in my mind. But if I'm going to be honest, that's going to be one of my top books of 2025. I absolutely loved that book. I loved the characters. I loved the writing style. I talked so much about it already, so we're just going to kind of move on from that. But I think maybe another book that fits this category is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I just love the whimsiness of it. I don't know, it was such a cute story. I loved the adventure. The writing was beautiful. So definitely one of my top books of the year. But yeah, I think those two. Maybe even Yellowface. I'm basically naming all of my 5 stars so far. Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Let's cut it at that. Next question. Best sequel you've read so far? I have only read 2 sequels, and that's Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard and Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver, right? I think between the two, Leather and Lark is probably my preferred one. Thinking back to it, it's a dark rom-com. I like the characters, I like the banter, the romance. As for Glass Sword, I just had a hard time getting into it, but I think overall I'm enjoying the Red Queen series. Glass Sword was pretty good, but for sure I think I'm going to give it to Leather and Lark. Next question, new releases you haven't read yet but want to. Now I'm surprised I haven't picked up Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. This is the second book in another interconnected series. I think the first one was called Lights Out, and I read that book when it first came out. I was following the author. She had teased the book and I'm like, I want to read this. I did. I enjoyed it. Caught Up is out, which is the second book. I think it's about the friend. I also do want to reread Lights Out before reading Caught Up. Another book that's in my radar is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. As you can see, I cannot stick to a one book answer here for some reason. Taylor Jenkins Reid is slowly becoming one of my auto read authors. I think the last book I do want to read that I haven't read yet is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. I have read 2 other books by Ashley Poston, and one of them was one of my top books, I believe from 2024? Point is, it was one of my favorite books. I loved that book. So I'm just like,
oh, why not? This sounds like a book that I would like.
Next question. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I am really bad at following releases, but I do have a few in mind. The first one is Eldridge by Carrie Lake. This is the second book to the Eating Woods series. It follows up Anathema, and I'm very excited for this book. I believe it's coming out in September, so definitely more in the fall season. And I'm just excited because it is more of a Gothic style kind of book. It'll be a nice little intro to spooky fall season, so I'm very excited for that one. And another book that I am anticipating is We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter. Karen Slaughter is another that is slowly turning into an auto read author. This book is a thriller, and from the vibes of it all, it seems like it's going to be a nice end to summer. It is coming out in August, so I'm very excited. I love a good thriller. Yeah, those are the 2 books that I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm pretty sure there are more books. I just don't know which ones are coming out this year. I thought the second book to the Moonfall series was going to come out in October, but it turns out it's coming out in 2026. My disappointment when I found that out. But anyway, moving on to the next question. What a great segue. Biggest disappointment. I really did not want to write down anything for this because I just feel bad. I don't like talking negatively about the books. Like, I don't mind ranting with my friends about it. Overall, it's just kind of like, I don't want to bash on a book. If I'm being very honest, my biggest disappointment was Iron Flame and Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I feel like that's partially my fault because I had not read the second book, so I actually did not know the direction the book was going. And I I feel like I just built up so much anticipation and my expectations were so high that when I did read them, they just were not met. And again, that's partially my fault. So I did write those two down. Moving on. Biggest surprise. Both of these were seen in like a good light. It wasn't a negative surprise. It was a positive surprise. So the first book was Rehab by Kenna K. I had no idea who this author was. So it was a really nice surprise when they reached out to me and I got a chance to read their book and I really did enjoy it. It was a young adult sci-fi book about synthetic love. It was such an interesting topic. The second book that I had in mind for this was Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. This was, I believe, a debut novel for this author. And the reason why this was a surprise was because I was expecting it to be a rom-com, or at the very least like a drama romance. Yep, it was a drama. It was just kind of a sad romance. I was surprised because that's not what I was expecting. However, I still really did like that book. There was just a lot of emotional topics and stuff like that. Both of those books were very pleasant surprises. Next question, favorite new author. I picked 3 for this one. The first one is a completely new author to me. I had not read any of her books before, and that is R.F. Kuang. Yellowface just left me wanting to read more of her books, and I already had The Poppy War in my TBR, so that just kind of encouraged me to read it even more. Now for the next 2, these authors, I've already read a lot of their work, but they have become like auto-buy authors because I have enjoyed their work immensely. Instead of these authors being new to me, this is just a development of me liking these authors more than I used to. The first one being Taylor Jenkins Reid. I just really do enjoy her writing. I have enjoyed all of the books I've read so far, and I want to continue reading the rest of the books that she has out. The other author is Karen Slaughter. I have discovered that Karen Slaughter is my type of vibe when it comes to thrillers, when I want a darker style thriller, because they're dark, but she still somehow tries to make a bit of a happy ending, or at the very least satisfying ending. And now that I'm talking out loud, I guess a new author to me that I'm willing to read more of, I just don't know if I would say favorite necessarily, is Ellen Hilderbrand. So yeah, let's just add her to the list too. Newest fictional crush. Okay, so for this one, I have a hard time actually developing fictional crushes that are not in series. I feel like I have not read a series where I am extremely invested in the characters. So I actually haven't developed a new fictional crush. I went through the books that I read, and the only one that stood out was Lachlan from Leather and Lark. I like his grumpiness, I like his protectiveness and his groveling, and I just really like that character. I gave that title to Lachlan. I don't think it's anything compared to like my usual fictional crushes that tend to be more on the fantasy side. So like Rowan, Dorian, Reese, you know, the usual. Anyway, moving on to newest favorite character, and like I mentioned, similar to fictional crush, I actually didn't even put anyone down because I am not invested in any series right now. Aelin and Manon, saying it correctly now, are still up there. They have not been dethroned yet. Next question, book that made you cry. I feel like I've teared up for a few books, but like actually bawled my eyes. The only one that comes to mind, and it's because I just recently read it, was Fearless. Not for the whole story, just for like 2 specific parts, which was Mac's story and the epilogue. Those made me cry, and I will happily admit they made me cry, and they were like bittersweet tears. And the other one is Say You'll Remember Me. I can't remember if I actually shed a tear. Like I mentioned, I did tear up, and I've teared up for other books too, but this is the other one that I can actually remember getting super emotional about. I just can't remember if I actually cried. I know I did for Fearless, but I really can't remember if I cried for Say You'll Remember Me. So I just put it on there because I have a feeling that I might have. Now the opposite of that question, a book that made you happy. This one was a bit of a surprise for me. I didn't want to be repetitive with my answers, so I left it here, which was The Lady and the Highwayman by Sarah M. Eden. And this book was just absolutely wholesome and fun and cute, and it made me so happy. It was a period drama with adventure and romance, and it was just so cute, and I loved it, and it was a clean romance too. I found it in the library. I had never heard people talk about it and I just really enjoyed myself. That's the book. I'm so sure that there's a bunch of other books that made me happy. Books make me happy in general unless I get genuinely upset with them, but that one specifically is the one that stood out for this answer. Most beautiful book you've bought or received this year so far? I have two. I went through my bookshelves and I realized that I am not actually a person that buys books based off the cover, which I'm surprised. I thought I did, but I feel like all of my books are, you know, average. But this book was exactly that. We were on a field trip with my book club basically, and all of us saw The Empress by Kristen Hanna and we loved the cover. And I bought it because it was just so pretty. I don't know if you could see, but the mirror is reflective. The pomegranates are like reflective as well. And it just felt so beautiful. So this is probably one of my prettiest buys of the year so far. I'm pretty sure there's other books, but objectively, I thought this was the cutest. I don't think I bought this 2025, but I read it 2025, so I want to talk about it. And that's How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. This is another one. Yes, the cover might not be as appeasing to everyone. I love the cover. I love the illustrations. But the reason why this is one of my prettiest books is because of the illustrations that it has. I will show my all-time favorite illustration that I show every time I show this book. Look at these illustrations. These are beautiful. This is one of my most beautiful books that I own because of these illustrations. And they make sense for the stories. They're just not random doodles. So these two books. Now, final stretch. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Everything on my TBR. Not everything, but definitely get through my TBR. Get through my physical TBR especially, just because I don't like having books at home that I have not read yet. We will get through that slowly but surely. It's not a big stack. I think I got like 5 books left in there. I did write down specific titles and I'll go through them based on season, just because I think I wrote them down that way. So the first one that I need to read ASAP, essentially because it's almost end of summer, is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. This was a recommendation. I don't know what it's about, but I heard that it gives such great summer vibes. So it's on my list and I would like to get to it this year. If not, it's okay. I can read it next summer. The next one is a horror, so I want to read that in the fall season, and that is The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. This has been on my TBR for quite a second, so I would like to get to it this year. It just seems like a good book. And then this book is in my physical TBR. It was gifted to me during Christmas, but it was a holiday book and I decided to save it for this Christmas season, and that is A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. Since it's a gift, I really want to read that one. That one is a for sure read by the end of the year, for sure. And then the last one, doesn't matter when I read it, but I'll probably pick it up sometime soon, is Death by Laura Thalassa, and that's because that is the last book in the series and I need to finish it. It's a dark romance and I really just need to get to it. I like these books. I don't know why it's taking me so long to pick it up. Those are the books that I would like to get to by the end of the year. I think that's it. I have seen a few other questions bouncing around, but I just wrote down these because these were the ones that I kept seeing over and over again. If you have your own answers to these questions, let me know down in the comments below. I would love to see what y'all think. And if not, just let me know what is one book you want to read by the end of the year. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already and you would like to, please subscribe. I usually make book content and now and then I'll make some lifestyle vlogs. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a beautiful day and I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.